Welcome to Spindrifter, where we do simple faith for ordinary folk. I just want to introduce you to my little friend here, who came from a small shop somewhere in the country of Wales. You may have heard of it. Can you imagine if I were to say to you that I utterly despise, loathe and detest this cuddly toy? Not just this cuddly toy, but all cuddly toys, and every ounce of my being wants to tear it from limb, to shred it, to burn it, to torture it, to make it feel every tiny little bit of agony that I can heap upon it, because I despise it so much. And imagine if I had the power and the ability to do that, which actually I do, but not only that, to do it time and time and time again, but never quite able to do it enough to extinguish the extent of my loathing and hatred and detestment for this. You'd think I was a bit crackers, wouldn't you? You'd think it was time for me to get my medication changed or something like that. And you'd have a point, because that level of hatred, really, well, that would be a little bit beyond excessive, wouldn't you say? Last time we were here on Spindrifter, we spoke about human hatred, about the reasons for it, or the excuses for it, if you prefer. And we also spoke about what we can do about it to change it. Well, no, we won't. And I know that 99.999% of the people who may come across this video and that video and listen to its content will take not one bit of notice, because we almost can't put down our hatred, can we, for one another? But that was human hatred that we spoke about, of which there is much talk in the world today. We speak about hate speech, and we speak about microaggression, and all of that's valid up to a point, but on another level, trust me, it is pathetic, it's pitiful, it's putrid. And I'm here to tell you that most of us walking around on this planet today, regardless of our experiences, most of us have no real understanding of what pure hatred actually is. Now, some years ago, I'm going to put my little friend down, because I don't hate him at all. He's alright, isn't he? I mean, he doesn't do much, but he doesn't have to. He just has to sit there and look cute. He likes a drink, but I can't do anything about that. It's in his genes. Anyway, some number of years ago, when I was a fair bit younger than I am now, I had the experience of being involved in a situation that took place in a building that was being put into use for single homeless people. And this situation was experienced by probably 8-9 of us altogether. I forget how many there were of us involved, something like that. And it went on over a period of about 3 months. And it was the most unwanted, terrifying, out of this world experience that any of us could have ever come across, and I'm sure none of us would have come across anything like it ever since. And it's not something we talk about very much, those of us that were involved, because people don't want to hear it. That's the truth. They'd rather focus on the things that are going on around them, the things they can see and hear and smell and feel and touch and all that. They'd rather focus upon that than what happened to us. So we don't talk about it. But whilst we were involved in this experience, all sorts of things were happening. I'll give you an example. The building was full of fire doors. These fire doors had air compressor fire door closers on them, which meant that when you slammed the fire door shut or attempted to do so, it would go so far and then it would stop, and it would come up against the pressure of the air in the compressor, and it would close gently and gradually, bringing the fire door to its close securely. That was the kind of fire doors we had. They were this thick, they were expensive things, and something in the building was slamming them so hard that the building was shaking. And this had gone on for a while, amongst other things, and it stopped for about a week. And we were happy about that, because it was a terrifying, really difficult time for all those of us that were involved. So when it stopped, we thought quite naturally, or whatever it was, it's over now. Well, it wasn't quite over. Listen to this. Things had quietened down for a while, and we had much as a staff team to discuss. There were many matters that needed some attention, not least of all some of the difficult staff team dynamics that were taking place at the time. So, given that things had been a little bit quieter for a week, we decided that we would have a staff meeting, which we used to have regularly, and that we would have it down at the building in which there'd been so many problems. Because that building was quieter, you could get a lot more done a lot quicker without all the distractions that used to take place up in the main hostel. So we'd left somebody else on duty in the main hostel, and we'd gone down to the other building. And the story goes like this. As the meeting began in the dining room, there was a sense of confrontation in the air. It may have been getting colder outside as the autumn began to take hold in the West Midlands, but it felt like there would be no shortage of heat in our meeting room. Sue was getting ready to blow off some steam. Carl was looking defensive before we got started. Michelle had an air of determination, but would inevitably have to give some ground if the outcome was to be a constructive one. She had, it seemed to me, entirely taken the side of Carl, and I wondered how she could suddenly come to have apparently lost her trust in the dependable Sue, whilst at the same time showing utmost confidence in her new deputy, who was as yet unproven. In the end, it didn't matter. The meeting had barely begun. Michelle was still in the process of carefully laying out the agenda, and no more than a few minutes had passed before there was a very audible and all too familiar banging sound from upstairs. To begin with, it was just once. Sue and I looked at one another, and without speaking we communicated the very real hope that this noise was not what we thought it was. Michelle tried to ignore it and carried on. Then 2, then 3 loud bangs within the same minute. Michelle stopped. We all stopped. Then it became constant. The fire door slamming had started again. It was as if someone knew that we were there and knew what we were trying to do with the day, and they wanted to cause a disturbance. The guys living there had all gone out in order to give us a wide berth so that we would get on and organise some business. We knew there was nobody else in the building except for us. Oh, there was nothing we could do. It was too loud and too annoying to ignore it. Vinny said that he heard the doors banging again this morning, Michelle told us with resignation in her voice. But I was hoping he had misheard something. Apparently not, offered Sue with a hint of aggression, or was it just plain annoyance? Oh, can't we just go up to the hostel for the meeting? I can't sit here and listen to that racket all day long, she said. That seemed to me to be the best idea. After all, we had a backlog of business to clear up and plenty of planning to do. Let's wait for a few minutes, Michelle suggested. If this is starting again, I'd rather we stay here and get it beaten. We waited for a while and made some feeble attempt to continue with our meeting. The slamming increased. It seemed that there was now twice as much. I think it's coming from both floors upstairs, Sue observed. I don't know about you lot, but I've just about had a gutful of this. She got up quickly and headed off in the direction of the stairs. So did I. We dashed through the ground floor corridor together and arrived at the base of the stairs together. Had there been anyone coming through from the front of the house at that moment, they would have been flattened. In unison, we were heading up those stairs as fast as we could go to catch and to deal with whoever or whatever was up there. In unison, we stopped, absolutely dead in our tracks. Not quite at the bottom of the stairs, we had both leapt up a few in one stride. What in the name of mercy is that? Sue had seen it. I had seen it. To be more precise, we could feel it rather than see it. It was as if we were both using a previously unknown form of vision by which we could see something in a non-visual way. An instinct that we didn't know that we had. It was like another sense had been added to the ones we already had the use of. We could not mistake its presence as it sat there at the top of the first flight of stairs, as if it was waiting for us or daring us to take one more step. Steve, I ain't got a damn clue what that bloody thing is, but I'm not going anywhere near it. Sod that. We stepped backwards without taking our eyes off the first floor landing. We felt as if we were being watched and scrutinised by some kind of a malevolent presence. Whatever this thing was, it despised both of us intensely. Malevolence. There was no other word in my mind. All these years later, I can still feel it. A vileness that extends well beyond that of any human being I had or have ever come across. We backed off slowly. Michelle was a few feet behind us. I hadn't heard her come through, but she'd been there long enough. What is that? She asked. She knew it was there as well. Do I look like I know? Replied Sue. But whatever it is, it can stay up there and keep well away from me. All three of us retreated to the dining room. It made no attempt to follow us. Looking back, I wonder why we didn't flee from the building right there and then. I really don't know why we just didn't go. Maybe it was because the banging stopped. The British thing to do in any circumstance that is a little out of the ordinary is to have a cup of tea. Putting the kettle on seems to solve just about anything. That's what we did. We made a cup of tea. There wasn't any more banging up there. We waited. "What do you guys think?" asked Carl, who was noticeably absent from the chase to the stairs. I wondered why he hadn't come to join his colleagues, but I didn't bother to ask. So what did we think? "Okay," I said. "Let's be rational. Up to now, we've been thinking that there's been someone mucking around in this place, but what we just saw or felt or whatever it was, that's not somebody mucking about. It's something else. There's something in here. And I, for one, don't like it." That was an excerpt, just a couple of pages, from the story that has been written to share the experience that we endured. I wouldn't say we took part in it because we didn't want anything to do with it. And within this experience, we learned that there are powers out there that exist that are not earthly, they're not worldly powers, they're not of this planet, and they are evil beyond human understandings of evil. And those creatures, whatever they are, despise me and everybody else that was involved. And they despise you just as much. A seething, malevolent, putrid loathing of you. I mean, imagine how you would feel if you've, I don't know, you've been to the shops, the supermarket, you bought yourself a tub of cream because you're going to have it with a cake or a scone or something. So, oh, that's it. We'll have clotted cream with jam and a scone. So there we are. We've got our scone. We put our jam on it because we're doing it properly, like they do in Cornwall. And then you're going to put your cream on top. So you open your tub of cream and you take the lid off, but there's not cream in there. It's maggots crawling around. Filthy, dirty, disgusting, loathsome maggots. Imagine how you feel about those maggots that are in that pot where there should have been clotted cream. Well, that's how much the powers of evil despise and detest you. That's what you are to them. Nothing more, nothing less than that. Imagine, if you can, being with them, where you can't get away from them, in a place where there is no love, nothing to balance, nothing to set itself against their vileness. Imagine being in a place where you are surrounded by nothing more than pure hatred. Hatred that wants to destroy you time and time and time again, as I was looking to do with my little friend there. According to the understanding that I have of that which we call the Bible, such a destination appears to be quite likely for a very great number of souls. I'm not going to use the term people, I'm going to use the term souls. We've all got one, we all are one, ultimately. And those beings that I've referred to detest your soul. Your soul. You. Everyone. What can we do about such a force of evil as that? Such hatred? I can't do anything. Nothing at all. There's nothing I can do to influence pure hatred. I can't do anything about it. I can influence the hatred that comes from human beings, because that's impure hatred, but I cannot influence pure hatred. I cannot change it. There is nothing I can do. I just don't want to be in the presence of it. And the only way I can not be in the presence of it is to put myself in the presence of the opposite of hatred. And the opposite of hatred is love. And the Bible says God is love. And the Bible says God is a spirit. God is therefore the spirit of love. And if I turn to that being instead, then I should find, according to his grace, according to his mercy, and according to that which we call salvation, I should find that I would be protected from ever finding myself left at the disposal of those vile, revolting creatures that we came into contact with. Jesus has overcome. Jesus is superior to any wicked, evil force. Jesus has authority, and they know it. And the good thing is that means that me and my little friend here, we're as safe as houses. Have a good day. God bless you all. And watch yourself out there.